Hi, my name is Mike Dillard, and this is Self-Made Man, the podcast for those who want to leave their mark on the world and create a legacy of honor, integrity, and achievement in every aspect of your life. I'm glad you're here, and once again, it is time to forge your destiny. The biggest problem when it comes to building wealth is that there is not one clear-cut way to do it. If you were to ask a successful rich individual what the best way is to become wealthy, all of them are going to give you a slightly different answer. And that's tough because it creates confusion. Who's right and which path do you follow? Well, that's exactly what Kris Krohn experienced in his early 20s when he was trying to figure out the best way to create wealth with real estate. Kris was dead broke at the time, and he'd found plenty of answers when it came to building wealth, but he didn't know which one was correct. So he did something that few people do. He put all of his options on paper, and he ran the numbers. What he discovered was a strategy that clearly stood above all the rest, which he's going to share with you here today. 12 years later, Kris has bought and sold over 3,500 real estate properties, and he makes millions of dollars per year in passive income. In fact, his most recent deal alone will produce over $80,000 per month in recurring cash flow. Now, there's a second part to this story that we're going to dive into as well, which is how I found Kris. And that was a few months ago while randomly surfing YouTube. He'd been producing a phenomenal stream of video content that is growing his channel by 20 to 30,000 subscribers per month now. And I wanted to figure out what in the world he was doing. So it's safe to say that this is going to be one of the most valuable episodes we've had here on Self-Made Man. Kris is a phenomenal speaker, a great presenter, and he is filled with incredibly valuable knowledge. So buckle up and please help me welcome Kris Krohn. Kris Krohn, welcome to Self-Made Man. It is a pleasure to have you on the show, brother.
Thanks, Mike. Really excited about it.
Absolutely. So I found you probably a month or two ago just on YouTube and got hooked on your videos. And I think you're one of the best teachers that I've come across in a long time in the kind of entrepreneurial / business wealth education space. And I think I probably watched at least 20 or 30 of your videos in like the next 2 or 3 days. And so I've gotten to know a lot about you and your work. And I'm just super excited to have you on the show because I've got a ton of questions for you.
Awesome, Mike. Well, listen, I really appreciate it. And I love the name of your podcast, Self-Made. I mean, ultimately, we're all here to figure out how to become our own self-made woman, self-made man, and figure out how to take life, bull by the horns and make it happen, because certainly no one else is going to do that for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got a fantastic story as to how you achieved financial independence really early in life, in your early to mid-20s, using real estate. And we have not had a guest on the show yet that's really used that avenue to build a fortune. So I was hoping that you could walk us through your story, because there's a lot of young entrepreneurs who are listening to this who don't have a ton of money, who've maybe thought about real estate, but they just don't know how to go about it. And you've clearly cracked the code when it comes to that world.
Awesome. Yeah, Mike, I'm happy to. It's interesting because by the time I was, young man and just starting college, I started college a little later because I served a 2-year Christian mission for my church. So I was starting college at the age of 21. I felt like I was behind, and I had decided I wanted to be a doctor. And it wasn't until I started taking the first couple of science classes when that bubble burst, and I realized, man, I'm tired of professors and advisors telling me that I'm too dumb to be a doctor. And it was frustrating because I was like, man, if doctor is one of the high paying jobs, and I'm looking at some of the other possibilities in college, I just started losing faith in what I'd been told my whole life, that getting a degree, working for the system or the man or a company for 40 years, I started losing faith that was going to take me anywhere, especially since I was doing some, I was trying to keep my head financially above water. So I had a telemarketing job, and it was weird. I was talking to all these people in their 50s and 60s that had been to college, gotten degrees, and they weren't, they had followed the path and they were not where I thought they should be. And I was like, dang, it almost doesn't matter what degree I'm going to get. Most of these people are just living check to check and putting money in a 401k IRA. By the time they're 50, 60 years old, they're screwed. I'm like, shoot, who wants a life like that? So I started getting really, really motivated for finding more of an outside of the box avenue. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I made the same observation when looking at, my folks and their parents and the hardest working people I've ever seen, and all heading to a dead end at some point.
Yeah. So So on my side, I started opening the door and I started saying, okay, there's got to be a shortcut to this college problem. And basically, I started looking for the most successful people I could meet. And it was really, really weird, Mike, because within a matter of months, I met 3 men who had made over $10 million in real estate each. And one of them was fairly young, had a young family, hadn't been working for years, had just gotten back from traveling the world. And I caught this bug. And what fascinated me the most was that one of my mentors that lived locally in my area, he said, dude, Kris, you don't need money. You don't need credit to really do real estate. And he gave me some advice. And within a short period of time, I bought my first house. And on that first property, I did save up a little bit of money. I had saved up, I think, like $5,000. But the first deal, I walked into $40,000 of equity and someone to live in the basement that paid my mortgage. And this was kind of crazy to me because literally at the time I was making less than $20,000 a year. Because I was a full-time student and I was working kind of full-time. And it just blew me away because think about that, making less than $20,000 a year, but walking into a property and, it's not like I had $40,000 in the bank, but I bought that property for $110. It was worth $150. And just knowing that I was worth $40,000, I thought, this is stupid. This took almost no time. And now I have a net worth that is double than what I make in a year. And when my wife saw that, I was married pretty young. She was encouraging. She said, if you think we should do it again, let's do it. And that's what I did. A year later, I got my second property. I used the equity in the first property, so I didn't need to even come out of money on my second property, which was awesome. I don't think I've ever come out of pocket again on a deal I've ever done. That $5,000 was it. The money that I pulled out of the first property to buy the second one, the second property I bought had about $80,000+ of equity. So between the two houses, my net worth was over $100,000. I was living for free in one house. The other house was paying me $600 a month. And I was like, this is so weird. I'm busting my hump at my job to try to get anywhere. And I'm working freaking 40, 50 hours a week, every week for the whole year. And just signing some documents because of something, I figured out how to do these niche deals. And that's when my wife, I remember we were sitting down, she's like, Kris, do you realize that we're actually getting out of credit card debt? Because at that time we were deeply in debt and we started getting out of debt. And I'm like, living for free and having a cash flow on top of that, getting out of debt. I started feeling like maybe this was going to take me somewhere. And that's when my wife and I started dreaming. I think for all self-made people, you've got this moment where you set this goal. And for me, the goal was I wanted to have $10,000 a month residually. At the time, I thought that was loads of money. I was so poor. And my wife and I, we agreed on it. We shook on it, hugged on it, kissed on it. We're like, let's do this. And basically 3 years later, I had 25 properties. I was making about $12,000 a month. I had just graduated college and I woke up one morning and got my BMW convertible. I drove over to my office where I worked and I asked my boss for a $70,000 raise. He laughed his pants off and I quit. And I've been a free man ever since. That was 12 years ago now. I was 26 years old. And that first $12,000 a month was cool, but I tripled it again that year. And then I went on to buy hundreds of homes. And long story short, Mike, is that essentially I ended up starting a company and said, hey, I'm finding so many deals. Whoever wants the leftovers, come and get them. And now in the last 10 years, me and my team have done almost $1 billion worth of real estate. Yeah, and we've awesome. Done that with thousands of investors. And it's been super fulfilling. So, created that freedom in my own life and then been able to really help other people do the same.
Very cool. Very cool. So what are the first initial skill sets that someone needs to learn in order to go buy the right house, at the right price? And are there any licenses that you need? Is it worth going out and getting your real estate broker's license just from an education standpoint, if nothing else? But where does someone start?
Cool. So first of all, do not get a license. If you have one, I'm not offended, but I'd prefer you not have one. I think it's a big waste of time. Mostly because I don't ever want to have to abide by some of the legalities and rules that come with being a licensed realtor. You don't need any kind of license to play this game. That's one thing that I really love about it. There are two predominant skill sets. The first one, Mike, is that, there's so many different ways of doing real estate. And I actually built my whole original portfolio on a hypothesis. My first 3 mentors, I could not get them all on the same page when I would ask this question. Hey guys, which strategy is best? Is it rentals? Is it flips? Is it short-term buy and holds? Is it tax liens? What should I do? And they all just kind of looked at me and they're like, I don't know. You can make any kind of deal work. I'm like, Guys, that is such a lame answer. I mean, I'll admit to all of you, I'm stupid when it comes to science. That's why I could never be a doctor. I hate chemistry. But I love math and I love stats. And I basically, they said, well, Kris, if you wanted to know the best strategy, you'd have to come up with, I don't know, you'd have to decide what was best for you. And so I ended up writing my first book based on my hypothesis, which said, all right, let's discover the best strategy. For me, I'm going to define it by 6 characteristics. The best strategy in real estate would have to take the least time. It would have to take the least effort. It would have to take the least risk. It'd have to be the most profitable. It'd have to work in up and down markets, and would have to provide a valuable service to people. I created this simple algorithm based on all of that. I dumped in all of the real estate strategies, compared them to each other, and the only strategy that emerged was a short-term buy and hold on single-family homes purchased below the national median and median for your area, and doing what I call compassionate financing, or what I call a lease option. And basically, it's like a rent-to-own. What I do is I buy homes that have equity in them. And then what I do is I put a family in the home that gives me a down payment. And then I really work to help this family buy the home. It's usually a family that would like to own, but the banks won't let them. Maybe they've got a credit glitch. Maybe they're new to the area or changed job industries. There's a reason why. And basically, I put up these rent-to-own signs. Within a matter of weeks, I get someone moving into the house. They give me more money than a rental deposit. They pay a premium compared to regular rental, but then I help build them equity. And then 2-3 years later, I help them buy it. And when they buy it, I share a little bit of the equity with them. They're thrilled about that. They've had a place to call home. And I end up making about 2.5 times as much money as I would on a straight rental, because I'm avoiding realtor fees, license fees. It's just a really, really sweet niche. So there's 2 strategies I mentioned. The first one is if I lost everything and had to start all over again, simple. This is the only strategy I would do. Apropos, I just used this same strategy on all these thousands of single family homes on a commercial deal. It's a convention center out here in Utah County. And this convention center will probably make me between $500,000 and $1 million a year of residual income. I bought it with no money. I bought it with no credit, doing the exact same strategy. So I'm a huge fan of, my YouTube channel. I've got all sorts of young people on there. I got older people too. My demographic's really broad, but I get these 18, 20, and 22-year-olds that are 25-year-olds that are young, and parents are telling them college and learn this and that. I'm just saying, well, yeah, listen, you got to figure out what's right for you, but don't let a bank tell you what you can and can't do. Don't let a credit score tell you what you can't do. And don't let your bank account tell you what you can and can't do, because real estate is the most expensive commodity that the average person wants. And if you figure it out, you can make, I probably make $50,000 to $100,000 on average per home that I do. And it probably takes me maybe 5 or 8 hours at max to do that. So it ends up being a really, really, it's not get rich quick. It takes a little bit of, it takes a few years to really build and start reaping. But man, to be able to buy real estate with no money and no credit. So that's one of the 2 strategies that I do, Mike. I don't know if I went too fast on that, because this other thing is even more exciting. But do you have any follow-up on that first thing?
Yeah, no, this is great. Because that's always a question. It's so funny. When I got into the world of investing and tried to figure out what to do with the money that my business was making years ago. This was 2010, after the big crash, right?
Yeah.
Nobody knows what to do anymore from an investment standpoint. So I dove in, tried to figure it out. And one of the biggest challenges that I found was that all of this really successful, wealthy mentors that I was talking to had a different opinion and a different strategy.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just freaking want to know the one that works the best, right? Like, I'll do whatever. Just tell me. And there was never a straight answer. So I thought that was really cool that you figured that out for yourself, because it's not cut and dry for the most part.
Yeah, it was interesting. I really had hoped. I wish I could say that I had a mentor that showed me the system I have. The real value that my mentors provided, though, was showing me what was possible. They showed a space, and they gave me a blank canvas. And then I got to use my own skills from within. Really are on crunching numbers, and I love statistics. And so when I could turn every real estate strategy and every aspect of it into a quantitative figure, then I could compare them to each other. And the one that emerged was, it's the perfect way for anyone who is a beginner to get in the game, because it doesn't take money and credit. But it's also, even a seasoned investor with lots of money, same thing, perfect strategy. Because what you're doing is, most of my deals, I'm averaging 15 to 30% a year on my money. And when you get that compounding, it just doesn't take very long before you can pretty much go anywhere you want, especially with the cash flow that it spins off. So the strategy it's sound, it's good, but it was only one of the two life-changing skill sets that really changed the game for me. The second one was when I learned how to go a lot faster without really needing money or credit at the next level. And that was when I did something called partnering. I had just bought my third house and a fourth deal came into my lap. One of my bird dogs had brought me a fantastic deal. I was going to make about 100% on my money. Only problem is I didn't have money. I just used it on my third deal, and none of my three properties were ready to cough up a big chunk of change to buy the fourth one. So I felt bad. It was the first time I had a great deal, and I was just going to let it go. And I just like, man, this can't happen. This deal is so good. There's got to be a way. And something bizarre happened. I got a phone call from my father-in-law, and he wanted to talk to me about real estate, which was bizarre because, when I bought my first house, he was pretty critical of that. He thought it was silly for a 23-year-old to own real estate when he didn't even know what he wanted to be when he grew up. When I bought my second house, he didn't understand investment real estate, so he was really confused. Like, dude, you guys are young. You're 24. No, my daughter's 22. Why do you need two houses, right? And then when I bought my third house, he just kind of threw his hands up in the air like, this kid's weird. But on my fourth one that I couldn't do, he gives me this call out of the blue, and he said he had a dream that he should talk to me about what I was doing. And I thought that was weird, but I basically opened up on the kind of money I was making. And since I put almost nothing in, but I was making money hand over fist on these first three deals, he basically said, well, what's your next step? And I told him about this fourth deal that I was going to have to let go of. And he was the one that approached me. I didn't approach him. So to be honest, I felt kind of lucky, Mike. He said, well, what if I give you the money? I'll be a 51% owner. You be the 49% owner, and you do all the work. And dude, I couldn't have been more elated. I thought that I hit the jackpot. We did that deal. He ended up making 100% on his money. And the money I made I didn't put any in. So it was just wild. It was like, this is weird. This took me literally a few hours. I was making, I probably averaged $5,000 an hour on that deal. And because my father-in-law loved it, he said, let's do it again. And we ended up doing, by the time I got to my 10th deal with him, I was a senior in college. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to be when I grow up yet. It's going to be this real estate thing, but my degree is going to be done here in a year. I'm a senior, and I was bored in one of my classes as my professor was pontificating, and I was thinking, oh, I got to go faster. And I thought, I got so lucky. I wish I had another father-in-law. And then it struck me all of a sudden. I'm like, oh my gosh, there are tons of people out there that could totally be like my father-in-law. And by the way, what I'm about to share is not just a huge secret in real estate. This is a huge secret in business because I've leveraged this thing everywhere. Basically, there were four older men. They were in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. They were at the end of long careers. They had been to college, but these were the higher earners. One was a dentist, one was an optometrist, one was a high-powered, CEO, chief something. And I basically, they all knew that I was in real estate. This young kid doing these deals, and I basically called them up and said, hey, want to do lunch? I want to show you what I've been doing in real estate. And all four of them agreed. And I just sat down with them, and for this time intentionally, not like with my father-in-law, I opened up my portfolio and I showed them my deals. They calculated my ROIs. They were through the roof awesome. And all four of them decided to say, okay, we'll go in 50-50 and let's do this. And, basically I started buying homes every single month. And by the time I graduated college, I had 25 homes, $12,000 residually. I don't think I ever put in more than $5,000. And, I've gone on to so many more things now since then, but real estate is it's a foundational part of my wealth strategy. And I think my favorite part is that it takes in the beginning courage. You have to have some cojones. You got to be willing to totally got to be willing to step up and do something uncomfortable. I'm always so proud of my young people in the program. My students that are 19 and 22, they're like, this is like real estate's such a big thing. But once they have a deal under their belt, oh my gosh, you cannot stop them. So I love it. There's no limit to it. And it's been really awesome for me.
How do people end up getting in trouble? Obviously, we all saw a bunch of people go through that in 2008. How do you, especially here we are 10 years later, right? We're expecting to be at the top of a cycle
soon. Yep.
What do people do to avoid ending up in that situation?
That's such a good question, Mike. So what I'm about to give, this is some really basic but good advice, because I started investing before 2008, and after 2008, I was just growing like crazy. And the reason why is because I chose a strategy that is insulated from market downturn. I had a friend at the time that would laugh at my strategy. He's like, Kris, I can buy one multi-million-dollar deal and make as much as you do on 10 small deals. And I said, well, that's true, but the market's eventually going to turn. And when it did, he lost his business. Mine just kept flourishing because, nationwide, the best markets, I'm buying real estate between 120, 180,000 on average, under 200 grand. I buy them in the best markets. And when the market goes down, $1 million house becomes worth a $500,000 house, and a $400,000 house becomes a $300,000 house. But a $200,000 house, it takes a little hit, and all I do is just make even more cash flow during that period of time. So, when I say that the best strategy is doing a lease option on single family homes, minimum of 3 bedrooms, priced below the median with a certain equity position, that's a formula. And that formula has held up for me. And in the next couple of years, we are going to be at the peak. There is going to be a downturn, and I don't care. In fact, if I'm really upfront with you guys, when the market turned down, I went into markets like Phoenix and Vegas and Florida, where brand new homes lost 50 to 60% of their value. And I was buying them up by the thousands. And in the last 5 years, my investors have made over $70 million.
How do you, I got to stop you. How do you buy homes by the thousands, just from a practical execution standpoint?
So,
are you buying into a fund or what?
No, I'm not buying into a fund, and I'm not buying them in tranches or pools. I'm just buying, those homes in Phoenix, for example. I was paying $80,000 to $120,000 a home. They were selling for $250,000 and $300,000 before, and I would buy them all one at a time. But with the strategies I'm sharing here, and I want to share this because a lot of people are like, there's got to be a way to do it more effectively than that. I buy homes. I found the best system for me is to buy them one at a time. But when you have lots of partners and lots of investors, you can buy lots of homes. And so just even though I say we bought them by the thousands, we did that. But we bought them each with care, individually evaluating each of the numbers, making sure that each one of them met the criteria. And anytime I find a home that meets the criteria, I'm going to pull the trigger on it. And
how do you find the homes?
I'll share a strategy. I think that the way that I do it, it wouldn't be very practical to share. I want to give your listeners, some real value here on this. So I'll share with you a practical system that anyone can put together, and then I'll just briefly share how I do it. When I first started getting into real estate, my second house, I came up with a strategy that I've really used ever since. If anyone is listening to this and like, Kris, I want a good deal. How do I do that? What you would do is you would go through the online listings or paper ads and you look for not houses. You're looking for realtors. You're looking for realtors that represent homes, and you're looking for homeowners that are doing for sale by owners. You're looking for people that are representing homes that have problems. A fixer-upper or really good equity or just came out of probate or pre-foreclosure. Anything that indicates that it would appeal to investors. I track down the people, not the houses. My very second house I called 10 of these realtors. I called them up. I said, hey, my name is Kris Krohn. I'm an investor. I got money from my next deal. I'm looking for a house priced under $200,000 that has 20% equity position. 8 out of the 10 laughed at me. 2 out of the 10 did not. That same day, one of them hit the MLS, found a brand new listing. I went and looked at it that afternoon. It was that house that had over $80,000 of equity, had a $600 cash flow. I bought that thing right from the bank. I was just first to the market. So 1, you got to be wicked fast. 2, you got to know that the deal of the decade comes along every single day. So you can't ever say there's no good deals. You can only say there's no good deals in this moment. And I put people to work for me. My whole system is based on leverage. So that's something, literally what I just spoke here. Someone else could do that. Someone can rip that off. Please do. Use it. It's awesome. In time, I have simply built my own real estate brokerage that's nationwide that specializes in finding these deals. So I don't have to work with random people anymore or random realtors. Now I have a team, and I have a team of about 200 experts, and they come together and they find me the best deals in the best markets. And that's how I'm doing it right now.
Very cool. How do you manage, let's say, a portfolio of 10 properties or more as an individual? Do you do this all in a spreadsheet? Is there a method to your madness? But what does that look like?
Yes. Okay. So first of all, I got to share one of the things that I love about the lease option is that when I put someone in the home, they know they're not a renter. They're a future buyer. So I'm usually putting someone in the home that has a higher income, better life standards, going to take care of the house. If you're not sure if they're going to take care of the house, just walk by their car, peer in the window. You'll know how they're going to treat their house. And basically, I'm putting people in the home that are making the commitment, Mike, to to do all the upkeep, all the maintenance, all the repairs. And so it's like putting a family in a home that's also the property manager. The property management is so minimal on a lease option. So it's very, very easy managing. I got to about 25 homes before I said, dude, I'm going to call my buddy in Florida. I've known him for years. I'm going to have him move out here. I'm going to teach him what I'm doing. I'm going to hand my 25 homes off to him and say, dude, you do the management. I said, here's $3,000 a month. Go rock it out. And then I went to just go and build my portfolio with a lot more homes. So I stepped out of management. By the way, if you're the kind of person that knows that you would hate landlording, you should totally look into lease options. And number two, if you're going to do anything different that required landlording, please, if you want it done right, don't do it. Don't be that guy. You asked earlier, how do people avoid making mistakes? One is buy, you know how to buy when the market is up and down. But the other one is if you're doing it just for the money and you don't really care or have a passion about certain aspects of the strategy, please don't be hands-on at the wheel because you will sabotage it. You're not going to do what's best for the business. So honestly, Mike, after I got to 25 homes and I handed off, I breathed easier. I didn't get any phone calls or I didn't have to deal with collection, this is or that. So I just handed it off and have a team that does it all for me. So if you want it done right, don't do it yourself.
Right. And I'm thinking, too, once you know what to look for, you could easily hire a virtual assistant to go search all of these databases and listings for you and just send you the ones that meet your criteria, right?
You totally, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. Well, this has been fascinating to me. Where can people go learn more about your real estate strategy specifically? And then I want to switch into a mindset component because I know that that's a big part of what you do as well.
Yeah.
But before we change gears, where can people go to learn your real estate strategy?
If anyone wants to learn more, I've got a whole system set up where I actually have all sorts of, like my book you can download for free on my website. There's all sorts of tools that I give to help you guys do this. My book is all about this strategy. You just go to kriskrohn.com. It's spelled Germanic. It's Kris, K-R-I-S, Krohn, K-R-O-H-N.com, kriskrohn.com, and you'll find everything about the strategy there.
Very good. Very good. And then you just finished a 2-day event this last weekend for a bunch of your clients and customers. And I know mindset's a big part of this, but why has that become a focus for your teachings lately?
Years ago, when I started personally working with my mentors, they would teach me skill sets and strategy, and they would help me make money. But I also learned at the exact same time that the way that I felt about me, the way my belief system, my paradigm was structured, really determined how much money I could make. Like, just to give you an idea, when I was only making $20,000 a year, I'm a very goal-oriented person, and I said, you know what? Even though I'm going to school full-time, I've got this kind of full-time-ish job. I should double my income this next year. Like, 20,000 is more than I've ever made, but you know what? Like, 20,000 sucks. I'm still going into debt trying to pay for school. So, hey, let's double the income. And it was easy for me to believe that because I knew that the national average was around 44,000 a year. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm an adult now. It doesn't matter. I'm still in college. I'm full-time. I should make at least what the average person does. And so that was believable to me. And I got to the end of the year because I believed for 365 days that I could double my income. I did. And when I got to the end of the year, it was awesome. Like, my wife and I were celebrating. I made just shy of 50 grand. And because I had practiced for 365 days how to double that income, it was really easy when doing the next goal. I felt young and ambitious. And I said, honey, why don't we just keep on going with this whole double it thingy? And so I believed again that I could double it because I had been doing that all year. And that next year I made $100,000. And then I just decided I could double it again. And then I made $250,000. And then I believed I could double it again. And I got to $500,000. And then that year, to double it would mean making $1 million. And all of a sudden, Mike, I got afraid because for whatever reason, there was this limit in my head that said, dude, you cannot make $1 million in a year. And when I got to the end of the year, I didn't. I made that just shy of $500,000 again. And then the next year again. And then I realized, oh my gosh, as long as I believed truly that I could double my income, I could. But the moment I doubted it, I couldn't. And I really started delving deep and realizing that there is a powerful relationship, that the way that we think is actually more possible. It's more important than what we do. And I've had a chance to invest over $2 million into my business coaches, my belief mentors, life coaches, health mentors. And honestly, I have a belief that I can have it all. So I've been on a journey to figure out how to convert my body into, 6'4", 230 pounds of strong muscle mass, V-shaped body. And with all this belief work, I figured it out and I got there. And then I learned how to become a multi-millionaire. And then I evaluated my relationships and worked on them. And now I've just invested all this money and I've realized, oh my gosh, making money is so much easier when you have the right belief system. And so when people started working with me and I started bringing on students and partners, because I've got some people, I'll build their portfolios for them. What I'll do is I'll always give them tickets to my 3-day events or my 4-day events that I do, usually 1 or 2 events a quarter. You can learn more about those on kriskrohn.com as well, or learn more on my growing YouTube channel. A lot of information, free information there for people. But really, Mike, I started putting on these events and I needed to share it with people because I'd start working with people. And Mike, I have to tell you, I started doing this also a little bit out of necessity because I'd work with someone and I'd start saying, wow, I really like you. You're awesome to work with. And then I work with the next guy and I'm like, wow, you're kind of crotchety and crusty. And I really don't like being with you. Like, I don't like you. And I started realizing that the way that people had an outlook on life and their attitude determined whether I enjoyed working with them or not. So I started doing these classes and I said, okay, listen, here's the deal. I'll show you how to make a lot of money. You can do it. But the reality is if you're not going to make the money, it's because your mindset is screwed. And by the way, some of you, I just don't even want to work with until you've been through this workshop. And if you can't get your attitude straight, then I'm going to probably have you work with me from more of a distance. And it's turned into a thing now where thousands have gone to these events and people just come back again and again. And they've turned into these really high energy variety events. One of them is all dedicated towards your belief system. And I'll just give everyone here just a quick little bonus on that. Gold nugget for me, which is every day I wake up and I start my day in a meditative state, very calm and grounded, no thoughts in my mind. I learned how to meditate from these Himalayan monks. And after you get in a calm state, I ask this question every morning. What's the number one limiting belief holding me back? And if you sit, it only takes a few seconds and an idea will come up. And the idea could be, I'm not worth it. I'm not fast enough. I'm not smart enough. I could never land a client that big. That's too much money. It takes money to make money. There's all this dumb crap rolling in our subconscious we picked up from childhood. And every day I started I cross them off the list. And I've been doing that for years now. I've broken through thousands of these limiting beliefs. And all you have to do is become aware of the limit and then make a conscious effort to change it and then recite that until you believe it. And so I've been using that for years. And so I have an entire 3-day event that is all about what I actually do is I've actually written an entire book. It's a best-selling book, which includes 1,000 beliefs that will help you achieve anything you want in life. And during the event, I basically show people how to do it. And it's awesome. One of my other events is how to manifest everything that you want in life. There's 9 laws of creation. Another one of my events is just all money, literally what I've learned from my billionaire mentors and my very successful multimillionaire mentors. And so these events are a passion because the mindset, Mike, really is the biggest determinant on whether any idea, like you can have systems all day long or look at it not like money. Let's make it easier. If you've ever been on a diet to get your body fit, dude, let's be honest. You do it, you get fit, and then you go back to the way you were. And the only time you ever achieve a permanent change is if you can change the beliefs in your head. So when I take extreme cases and someone wants to lose 100 pounds, all I got to do is mess with their head for 90 days, and then they lose the weight and they keep it off. So you adjust you adjust the belief system, you adjust the mindset, and then all of a sudden, all the things you're trying to do to improve and better your life can happen.
Yeah, it's awesome, and it's I want to say it's easier said than done.
It's true
because your thoughts and your awareness around eliminating belief, it could happen and last that morning, and then later that day it could go back to a point of regression, or the next morning you could forget about it and move on. But it really takes a lot of conscious effort and focus on a daily basis to break through that. But at the end of the day, it is the only way to actually achieve a result and make a change in your life. So I think it's incredibly important.
That's why I created the full immersion event, because even just sitting here, another tip that I would give everyone here is that, make a list of those beliefs every day that you collect, figure out what the new belief is that is powerful and positive, something empowers you, that is in present tense, the way that the subconscious mind thinks. And just when you recite it every day, you got to recite it with energy and with emotion, because emotion is the glue that makes the new idea stick. You're literally growing over 21 days a new neuron. And you're looking for the positive neuron to basically be the new driving force of energy versus the old one. These things take time and effort. That's why I've created this full immersion experience. But anything you can do, if you're listening to this, you should be listen to this podcast is smart, because it's a place for you to get new ideas, and you're going to replace old ideas with better ideas. But be doing personal development, go to events, read books, personal development podcasts, anything that you can do to make sure that every day you're taking time to invest in yourself. Those people become successful with time. People that don't invest in themselves, that actually think that focusing on working harder on the same strategy will get them where they want to go, I think there's a lower chance of success there.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got about 15, 20 minutes left. I have to ask you about YouTube. You've got about 190,000 subscribers now. It looks like you really started producing videos on a regular basis about 1 to 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And walk us through your thought process around why you went that route, why you started producing videos, what your overall goal and strategy is around that, and maybe what you've learned from it so far.
So that's a really good question, Mike. There's really kind of two parts to it. Part of it is I have this knowledge and I love sharing it with people. And so on the one hand, I think that it's just a really great way to give back. It takes time and effort to produce these. I probably spend 1 day a month shooting all my videos, and then we get them uploaded. And it brings me joy. I really believe that you shouldn't do what you don't like doing. You should do what you love. People that have read my book, for example, they'll download it for free or they'll buy it on Amazon, and I'll hear from them years later. In fact, I just ran into a buddy at this event that I hadn't seen for 8 years. And he said, Kris, I just made my first $1 million. And I was like, really? Tell me about it. He said, yeah, I just followed your system. I did this and that. And so, there's a lot of people where I'll never really see personally a financial gain, but I do believe in karma, and I believe that what goes around comes around. So I know there's a lot of people that I'm empowering. I just had another kid yesterday just say that he lives out of the country. Just based on watching my videos, he's bought 4 houses. He's got a residual income. I was at the airport the other day. A kid just ran into me and just shared with me the duplex that they had just bought and how thrilled they were. So it's just people I'll never meet. For me, this influence and impact is really important. The money has all come in, and it's just like, well, shoot, what's the legacy like? What's your mark on society? It can't always be about you. At some point, we gotta get out of the selfish game where it's me, and then we got to graduate to the game where we get to just grow financially, but also just help other people. So YouTube, on the one hand, does that for me. On the other hand, there is a business strategy to it. I produce these free videos, and people get to watch them. You'll find haters there, and you'll find lovers and people that will subscribe. And I just love creating value for them. But a lot of these people then come over and check out some of my websites. They'll get involved in some of my businesses. Some of them will become partners with me and will buy tons of real estate. Some will get involved in how to do lease options or learning the in-depth how to partner with people. So YouTube actually is just a really great way for anyone that's on this podcast. I'll tell you right now, YouTube is probably my favorite marketing tool. And the reason why is because I hate paying money for marketing and then chasing people down. YouTube is the opposite. I use a very specific system where my team does a research on the keywords. And so anyone all over the world that wants to find information on what I do, they organically find me. They watch my video, they subscribe, they watch more. And after they've done that for a while, they'll often hop over to the website or download a free tool or say, hey, can I work more deeply with you? And a lot of people I can't work more deeply with, but a handful I can. And so on the one hand, it'll grow my business, but I'm just in love with this marketing strategy because people are fighting to want to work with me. And when you're in business for yourself, I would rather have people find me, develop a rapport, a relationship, and then reach out. And for me, that's starting a relationship off on the right foot versus being a business marketer that needs to do traditional marketing and chase people down.
Yeah, it's a longer term strategy, but it's the whole farming analogy, right? Rather than going out and hunting down a deer for the day, you can start planting seeds, and before you know it, a year or two later, you've just got this huge crop that's rolling in organically, and it doesn't require any more of your further effort at that point. It's just this essential asset that you've built up, right?
Exactly. And here's the other thing that I love about it. I mean, you're right. Last month, maybe 40 days ago, my channel had maybe 70,000 subscribers. It took a couple of years to do that. It's more than doubled, almost tripled in the last 30, 45 days. By the end of the year, it could be at 500,000 to 1 million subscribers. So the great news is that with time, it just becomes bigger, and I get to expand more and more of that influence. And I've had mentors. Grant Thompson, one of the top 100 YouTubers, his channel, King of Random, he's been a great mentor to me. He and I actually filmed an entire course on how to do YouTube. So if anyone's listening and you have a business and you're like, geez, I'd like to have an affinity lead, basically have a strategy that can grow and do that farming analogy, like you said, that becomes an asset that every year just gets bigger. I mean, YouTube has grown about 500% a year for me every year. And so it does take time. It does take effort. But where I'm at today, I'm like, I'm so glad I did it, because I don't have to market. People find me that like what I'm doing, and then I can help the right people.
Well, that's how I found you.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
It works. It's attraction marketing in its finest. You were about to say that you had a course or something you put together, and then your sound cut out for a few seconds.
Oh, yeah. KrisKrohn.com. If you dig deep enough on that website, you'll actually see where Grant and I came together. We actually did a 3-day event teaching. Grant Thompson is one of the top 100 YouTubers. My skill set is I know how to monetize YouTube for my business off channel. He crushes it, makes crazy amounts of money through AdSense through YouTube. So we put our two brains together. We put on a 3-day event. We filmed the whole thing, and we basically showed business owners and new YouTubers the simplest and fastest way to get launched on YouTube. And we've got a pretty inexpensive course that someone can find on that KrisKrohn.com. And so if anyone wants to learn how to do it, you're going to learn from people that have crazy track record. Grant sits down in YouTube headquarters and jams with them on the algorithm. So I enjoyed really creating value in that event, but I loved how much I learned. So we're now making that information available for people too.
Very cool. Now, it looks like you guys are putting out a video almost every day.
So right now on that channel, I have a daily video. Yep. And I've got a few other channels where we've got close to a video a day as well.
And how do you manage the production of that? Is this just literally you sitting down and coming up with everything?
Oh,
and maybe
no.
You have a camera guy show up. But yeah, take us inside the workings of it.
Yeah. So you've heard me say it, and I'll just say it again. When I got to the point where I was going to school full time, working full time, and managing these 25 homes, and then I burst, I popped. I'm like, I can't do it anymore, Dad. I listened to you as a kid. He would always tell me as a contractor, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. And I broke, and I'm like, that's it. Screw that. I'm not doing that anymore. And I wanted to know, could I do it better by not doing it and becoming an owner versus an operator? So when I did that initial test, it worked, and I've just fallen in love with the strategy, man. Do what you love. Do what only you can do, and hire out the rest, right? So on YouTube, same thing. I've got a guy. He is an amazing YouTube producer. He just works with a handful of people, and what he'll do is he knows my niche. He'll research all the topics he knows that I can speak to, but I don't just make videos necessarily on whatever I want. Maybe 1 in every 5, 4 out of 5. We're letting the marketplace, based on what they're searching on Google and YouTube for, tell us what they want. So we can actually see what the search volume is. So he'll sit down, and in advance, he'll say, hey, Kris, here's 40 topics. Pick 20 or 30 that you like. So basically, Mike, he'll jump in and he'll meet me at my house at 9 in the morning or wherever we're going to produce. He's a single guy, meaning just a one-man crew, and he's got his camera, his lighting kit, his audio, and we just sit in different places in my house, and we usually go till about 4 or 5 p.m. We'll shoot 30 episodes. Sometimes I'll bring a guest or a buddy on. We'll shoot it all in one day, and then he'll do everything from then uploading it, having a team edit it. He's got a whole team in the Filipinos. So, I mean, the video production is really inexpensive. But he manages everything, the thumbnails, the loading up. So for years now, these videos hit every day. But all I really do is I'm just the talent. I just show up. I take that day. I film. And it just matches my philosophy in life, which is do what you love. And if you don't love it, don't do it, because you got to work smart. Most business owners, when I actually do business mentoring and breakthrough mentoring with people, I've got 4 people a year that I will take under my wing. They pay a serious 6-figure price. They sit down with me. I work with them for 6 months to a year. And one of the first things that I diagnose is that 90% of their time is a pure waste. 90% of their business idea is a pure waste. 10% is making them 90% of their money. And so the first thing I do is I find out what they do that actually makes the money. And then we figure out how to maximize that and ditch all the other things. And the reason why we do this is because we believe we have to be the one doing everything. And listen, in the beginning, when you don't have a lot of money, maybe you got to wear multiple hats. But when your business starts producing some income, before you start putting it in your pocket and paying yourself, don't do that. Start paying other people to do the things that you don't like, And then you're really going to see your business grow. So the first money that comes in is as best as you can, use it to pay for all the jobs and responsibilities that you can farm out.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And that's a really great insight to how you guys manage to produce, so many assets for the channel. And the fact that you get all of that knocked out in one day a month is awesome. So this has been phenomenal, brother. I've learned a ton, and I can't wait to go over to the website and start to kind of pick your brain and dive into these different rabbit holes. Obviously, people can go to kriskrohn.com. But where do you think people should start? Is it with a specific book that you have or a specific course? Obviously, the YouTube channel is Limitless TV, but where should they go?
If people go to kriskrohn.com, there's some people that want to go to that website because they want me to help them start investing in real estate. Some want to partner with me and have me give them my best turnkey deals. Some people go there for the YouTube training. Some people go there because they want to learn about my events or they want to learn how to do my style of breakthrough. I basically learned the skill that I could take any limiting belief that is holding anyone back for years of their life or decades, and in 10 minutes, eviscerate it, absolutely obliterate it. And so sometimes people go to my website looking for that. Sometimes it's for my newsletter, for my tips and things that I do. I've got a free app where I'll do breakthroughs with you all day long because it's all automatic on the app for free. So there's just a lot on there. If you're interested in real estate, I would download the book for free, and then you'll find some additional free information. If you're interested in breakthrough, get the breakthrough app that's free, or join me at one of my events. And I think the website's pretty self-explanatory for whatever you're pretty much looking for. I do a variety of different things just because I think that in life, I'm meant to be a Renaissance man. I think a lot of people are. For me, I get to learn how to master a number of things. And then for me, the more people that I can help, Mike, the better. It's fun. There's all sorts of free tools there. Some people work with me on a more committed basis, which is also awesome. At this point, it's just living an awesome life and helping people learn how to live an awesome life too.
Awesome, brother. Well, thank you so much for the time today. This was fantastic. I can't wait to dive into your different materials. And guys, if you haven't subscribed to Kris's YouTube channel, make sure you go check it out. It is Limitless TV, and it's phenomenal. You're totally going to get sucked into the videos as I did as well. And Kris, thanks for the time today. This was great.
Hey, you're welcome, Mike. Everyone else, you guys just go live an amazing, limitless life.
Awesome, brother. Well, guys, thank you so much, as always, for listening, and stay tuned. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode of Self-Made Man. See you then.